My parents stole my wedding savings to fund my twins' extravagant celebration. After cutting ties, they've come crawling back asking for my help. What should I do? From the moment I could remember, there was always this unspoken rivalry between Emily and me. It wasn't something I even recognized until much later, but my parents made it clear from day one who their favorite was. Emily, my twin, was the miracle baby, the firstborn, by a mere 12 minutes. It seemed like those 12 minutes gave her a golden ticket to my parents' heart. Growing up, I was the afterthought, the shadow in her spotlight. I remember it from kindergarten when we performed in the school play. I was the lead in Little Red Riding Hood. Yet my parents barely noticed, too busy comforting Emily after she stumbled over her lines as a flower. It didn't end there. Every achievement I had, from science fairs to getting good grades, was met with indifference. But when Emily so much as sneezed, it was a grand event. My parents told jokes about how Emily was their firstborn, as if somehow those extra 12 minutes made her more deserving of everything. No matter how hard I tried, no matter how much I accomplished, nothing ever seemed good enough. The sting of this favoritism cut deeper with each passing year. I tried to convince myself that it didn't bother me, but it did. Every award I brought home, every honor I earned, was always overshadowed by Emily's constant need for validation. And I was left in the background, invisible, questioning my worth in a family that seemed to see everything, me. The emptiness was suffocating, but I never voiced it out loud, convincing myself that my effort alone would one day be enough. But it never was. As the years passed, I grew more determined to prove myself, not just to my parents, but to myself. It wasn't just sibling rivalry anymore. It was a fight for my own recognition in a family where I had always been invisible. I joined every club I could, participated in student council, and even took on extracurricular activities that would challenge me to push my limits. I worked tirelessly, staying up late into the night, studying, researching, and perfecting every project. I wanted to prove that I wasn't just Emily's shadow. I wanted to be someone they could be proud of, someone with their own merit. But despite all my efforts, the praise never came. I won a state-level math competition, a project that had consumed my every thought for months. Yet, when I returned home, my parents were more concerned about Emily's soccer game than my accomplishment. I could see it in their eyes. I had become nothing more than a background noise in the chaos that was Emily's world. And yet, I kept going. Each victory, each achievement, felt more and more hollow because it was never acknowledged. I was left standing alone, waiting for someone to tell me I was enough, waiting for them to finally see me. But it never happened. I was trapped in this endless cycle of striving for something I could never seem to attain. The harder I worked, the more invisible I became. It was like being on a treadmill, running faster and faster, but never getting any closer to the finish line. My accomplishments no longer mattered. The love I longed for felt further and further out of reach. I stopped sharing my achievements, stopped hoping for approval, and with that, something inside me broke. The day I found out the truth was the day everything changed. I had been fighting for years to earn a place in my family's heart, to be seen for who I was, and to have my worth recognized. But the moment my uncle let the secret slip, everything fell into place, and it shattered me. I was the accident, the unplanned child who had never been fully embraced. My parents had never intended to have twins. They had been devastated by the news, and instead of adjusting, they made a choice. Emily, the firstborn, was their miracle. She was the one they had invested their love and energy into. I had never been the daughter they wanted. It hit me like a punch to the gut, the truth that I was nothing more than an afterthought to them. I had spent my whole life chasing their approval, bending over backward, trying to prove I was worthy of love. But I wasn't. The realization was a brutal wake-up call. No amount of accolades, awards, or achievements would ever matter to them. Emily was always their golden child. The sting of this truth burned deeper than any rejection I had ever felt. That night, something inside me broke. I finally let go of the desperate need for their validation. I couldn't keep fighting for something I'd never have. And with that, I made the hardest decision of my life. I was done. I wasn't going to waste another second trying to earn their love. I would build my life on my own terms. I couldn't believe what I was hearing when my uncle told me how my parents had used my inheritance to fund Emily's lavish wedding. The money, my money, meant for both of us, had been taken without my consent, spent on her extravagant celebration as if my share had never existed. I could feel my blood boiling as the words sank in. My grandmother had left us a legacy, a gift she specifically wanted us to share equally, knowing how unfairly I had been treated by my parents. It was meant to be my safety net, something I could rely on, something that was just for me. But that dream was ripped away in an instant, as if I was nothing more than an afterthought. I confronted my parents, my heart racing with fury. When I asked them about the wedding fund, their response was dismissive, as if it was no big deal. "Oh, honey, we were going to tell you eventually," my mother said, brushing it off with a wave of her hand. But what hurt the most wasn't just the money. It was their complete lack of empathy. Emily, their beloved, had needed the money more, they argued. They didn't even hesitate to use me as a fallback when it suited them. All the years of fighting for their love, for their approval, suddenly felt meaningless. The realization hit like a storm, washing away any remaining affection I had for them. In that moment, I knew what I had to do. The emotional weight that had haunted me for so long lifted as I typed the words. I'm done. I couldn't be their pawn anymore. I hit send, severing the ties that had bound me to them for so long. I was free, but it was a freedom born from pain. A pain that cut deep, yet for the first time, felt like victory. The moment I sent that email, I felt the weight of a lifetime of hurt finally lift off my shoulders. I had cut them off my parents, my family, the people I had desperately sought approval from for so long. It wasn't just the money, though. That was a huge betrayal. It was everything they had done to me over the years, all the moments they had ignored me, all the times I had been overshadowed by Emily. I wasn't just angry anymore. I was done, completely done. For the first time in my life, I was living for me, not for them. But that didn't mean they were done with me. 2 years later, when they needed my help, they came crawling back. My mother's voice trembled on the phone, desperate and weak, but all I felt was cold indifference. She didn't ask how I was doing, didn't even acknowledge the years of pain. She needed money, and that was it. My father was in critical condition, she said. They were desperate. I felt nothing. All I could think about was how they had treated me for so long, how they had never been there for me. They wanted help now? They had never helped me when I needed it most. The decision was clear. I couldn't go back. Not this time. I hit delete, blocking them again. The silence that followed my decision to cut them off felt like a cold, suffocating fog. For weeks, I didn't hear a word from my family. I had thought I would feel relief, but instead, I was left with a hollow emptiness. The numbness grew as the days passed. I focused on my work, my new life, everything that didn't involve them. I had made the choice to stop chasing their approval, to stop being the invisible daughter, but the weight of years of abandonment and neglect lingered like a shadow. Then came the calls. The calls I knew would eventually come. It started with my uncle. His voice wavered with unease as he explained that my parents were in serious trouble, that they were in the hospital after a car accident. They wanted to see me, he said. The guilt immediately struck me, but I fought it back. I had spent years trying to earn their love, only to be ignored, only to be used when they needed something. This time, it was different. This time, I had to stay strong. As I hung up the phone, the reality hit me. I was in a position to help them financially, emotionally, but I didn't want to. I couldn't go back to being their safety net, the one they turned to when everything fell apart. They had done this to themselves. They had never truly seen me. The anger that had been simmering inside me for years rose up once again. I wasn't their fallback option anymore. I blocked their numbers, and for the first time in my life, I chose me. I never expected them to come back, not after everything. But 2 years had passed, and my phone rang again this time. It was my parents. They needed my help. Their voices were weak, full of desperation, but there was something in their tone that made my blood run cold. It wasn't remorse or understanding for the years of neglect and favoritism. No, it was simply a plea for money. My mother's voice quivered as she told me that my father was in critical condition and that their insurance had lapsed. The medical bills were mounting, and they didn't know where else to turn. I felt a surge of anger bubble up inside me, hot and bitter. My stomach twisted. Was this really happening? After all the years they spent favoring Emily, after all the times they ignored my accomplishments, now they wanted me to save them? The sheer audacity took my breath away. I couldn't believe they were reaching out only because they needed something from me. There was no love, no attempt to mend the wounds they had caused. I wasn't their daughter, their child. I was just a bank account. But this time, I wasn't going to fall for it. I wasn't going to cave to their manipulation. I could help them, yes, but that would mean going back to being their fallback. I had spent my whole life being their second choice, their safety net when everything went wrong. I wasn't going to do it again. I blocked their numbers without hesitation. It was time to stop being the person they only remembered when they needed something. I had nothing left to give. Not anymore. I sat in my apartment, phone buzzing relentlessly, and for the first time in years, I felt completely at peace. My family's chaos no longer had a hold on me. They had tried everything to get back into my life. My parents' guilt trips, Emily's messages of family should stick together, and even relatives calling me heartless. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could break the resolve I had built over the past 2 years. I had spent my entire life chasing after their approval, bending myself to fit into their mold. And for what? To be used, ignored, and belittled? No more. I had chosen to walk away, and as difficult as it was, it felt like the most empowering decision I had ever made. I thought about everything I'd accomplished on my own. The promotion at work, the new friends I had made who actually respected me, the home I'd purchased with my own hard work. These were things I had earned without their help, and now I had a life that was truly mine. No longer overshadowed by Emily, no longer stuck in the shadow of a family that never saw me. The irony wasn't lost on me. While they were drowning in the wreckage of their own poor decisions, I was standing tall, free, and strong. For the first time, I felt like I had reclaimed my life. I wasn't their second choice anymore. I was enough, and that was all I needed. I blocked their numbers once more, closing that chapter forever.